Welcome to a new episode of Ain't Got Time to Read, the place where I read a story, give you a breakdown of the plot, and simply save you time. Now, before we continue, here is your spoiler alert. If you have not read the story I'm about to discuss and you do plan to read it, then you may want to avoid this video or watch it at a later date. So that being said, let's dig into the plot of today's story. An unknown man in his final years begins to explain bizarre events that happened to him over the span of 2 days in 1894. He briefly mentions that prior to the bizarre event that he is about to mention, he spent some time as an officer in India before migrating to the colonies in America, where he began working at the Norton mine. Weeks after starting to work at the mine, Juan Romero also starts working at the mine and has a strange fascination with a ring that the narrator acquired in India. They strike up a limited friendship despite both having limited knowledge of each other's language. The superintendents of the mine use dynamite to open up a cavity and use too much dynamite. This reveals a whole new cavern and an abyss. The men are ordered to take plenty of rope and explore it. The men fail to find the bottom to the chasm and refuse to work any further until it is blocked off due to its dangerous nature. Work stops for that night. In the middle of the night, the narrator is woken by Romero getting excited over a sound. A storm is approaching, so the narrator first believes that Romero is referring to the storm or coyotes, but when asked, he refers to a throbbing in the ground. The narrator then begins to hear it but struggles to explain how it sounds. Romero dives from his bunk and looks at the ring on the narrator's hand. They both feel a great urge to leave and both men head out into the storm and head towards the shaft. As they venture deeper into the shaft, the sound gets louder and clearer, and the narrator begins to hear drums and chanting, similar to what he had heard during his time in India. The narrator also notices that the ring on his finger has begun to light up, even when no light is present to reflect from it. Romero runs off and clambers down further into the mine shafts as the sound becomes more intense. Romero shrieks as he ventures further in and starts shouting out in an unrecognisable language. The one word the narrator picked up on was Huitzilopochtli, which an historian would later tell the narrator was an Aztec god of sun and war. As the narrator reached the bottom of the mine shaft, Romero lets out one final shriek which is followed by an overwhelming, unexplainable sound. The light from the narrator's ring is extinguished, but then in the chasm there is a bright light and the narrator does not make it clear about what he sees due to its horrifying nature. It is believed that he sees something happening to Juan Romero. Something intervenes and stops the narrator from seeing anymore. The chaos he witnessed is brought to an end, granting him the knowledge of peace among oblivion. The narrator wakes up in his bunk at dawn and finds a group of men stood around the dead body of Juan Romero. They do not understand how he has died. They tell the narrator that he and Romero never left the tent through the night and that they believe the lightning that hit the mountain somehow killed Romero. The mine shaft is also damaged and the shaft is caved in and has blocked off the newly found chasm. Digging back into the mine and an investigation led by the superintendent revealed that the area that had the great bottomless chasm is now completely filled with rock. This completely baffles the superintendent and the men investigating. The narrator also states that when he woke his ring had vanished and that he was slightly relieved. He also mentions that sometimes during the early hours of the morning, when he can hear coyotes, he is often reminded of the sound as well as the poor Juan Romero. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you with the next video.